The way I started writing when I was a kid, I had, I'd play in standard or drop D or whatever, and I just found myself putting my fingers in the same place every time. So it was just feeling a bit static, a bit not very inventive. Basically, kind of being in tune with your own body. So like I learned that people will be like, "Oh, do you warm up or anything?" I'm like, not really. I warm up by like breathing. So like I don't really do any scales or anything like that. But it's more like core and diaphragm
energy
exercise, and like you don't really warm up that much.
I've never warmed up in my life. We can hear samples across multiple bands from the same like splice sample, and so we were like, let's not do that this time. Let's make everything from scratch, and let's really just like make our own fucking shit, man.
P.O.P, Payment of Pain.
Payment
but this
of Pain.
kind of has a twinnage here. I have Han and Jim with me from Hot Milk just before their Brighton gig at Patterns. Guys, how's it going?
Good. Yeah, sun's shining.
The sun is shining. It's felt like summer here today, but you've had a hell of a day, so thank you for chatting with us today.
So good.
Wheel came off.
The wheel literally blew off the bus.
The wheels came off, yeah.
But
Well, we
we're
put
looking
them
forward.
back on again, is what we did.
And you're here.
We're
You're
here.
doing the gig tonight. I just saw you play it a couple of years ago. You played Patterns before.
Yeah, was it even a couple of years ago, was
I
it?
hate this venue.
It's so sweaty. It's so
Look,
sweaty.
you guys are used to playing on some very big stages, though. How's the rest of the tour been? What's been one of your favourite
been good.
gigs?
It's been good. It's been nice to see everybody again. I love seeing familiar faces, and I'm just like, how have you been? You all right? What's
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on? But no, we played Oxford last night, or
Cardiff last night.
Yeah, lots of
Oxford
bands
night.
coming out. Got to see some other bands that came out as well, some friends. So it's been nice to catch up.
Yeah.
And you've had some big support gigs, and you've got some more big support gigs coming up this year. But it must be nice to connect with your own fans.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone in the
Totally,
room's
yeah.
there to see you.
Yeah, of course it is.
It's a nice warm up. Like we've been off for what, 4 months?
Yeah, 4
Fun.
months
Indeed.
So it's like dipping your toe back in.
Indeed. And you've got some new material out.
We have, yeah.
2 new singles, album later this year. Lead single, hell of a riff. Like, thank you very much for as a guitar teacher. I'm like, yes, we've
It
got
is
a riff to talk
fucking
about.
solid to play live.
Right. So 90 seconds to midnight, right?
Yeah.
So DADGAD tuning.
It is that one, yeah.
So
it's in
Han,
D
you
sharp, I
share
think.
this on your Instagram where half the set's like in DADGAD.
And then some of it's in C sharp. and some
C
of it's in
sharp,
C.
kind of like drop D
Yeah.
tuning, but then down to C sharp.
Yeah.
DADGAD, that's a folk tuning as a guitar
That's
teacher.
where it came from. Yeah.
So what are you doing there? Tell us about
And
it.
open tuning's nice as this bigger, more well-bodied sound.
Yeah.
Do you have open strings when it gets heavy, and then you pull it back and you've got some
It's
basic
more for
power
like
chords? don't you?
choruses. Like it just helps open it up a little bit. It gives a bit more texture to it. But like the way I started writing when I was a kid, I had, I'd play in standard or drop D or whatever, and I just found myself putting my fingers in the same place every time. So it was just feeling a bit static, a bit not very inventive, and I was like,
Pentatonic licks.
exactly, yeah. So I kind of, I was listening to like Damien Rice, I was listening to stuff like that, and I was like, these chords sound beautiful, like really big open chords,
Take
like you
up a lot of the
said.
space, and you're like,
Yeah.
it's quite floaty. And then we back them up with a lot of single note stuff as well. So
Yeah.
you still get the precision as well. So it's kind of makes for a nice combination.
It does, yeah, because like I said, like when the chorus kicks in, you can really, give it these interesting chords, not just the fifths and sevenths and stuff like that. You can kind of move it around a little bit. So yeah.
So you know about your intervals a little bit. I think I
not
heard
much.
from an interview that I've heard in my research for this that you'd never had any lessons learning guitar.
I've never had any
so
lessons.
totally self-taught.
I'm an ultimate guitar YouTube.
Absolutely
kid.
right.
Yeah.
Hey,
That's
amen.
right.
And so when are you writing some of these riffs, or is it all top? You wrote all the music to this, like on tour, right? And
No.
then you had, all right, fill
No,
us in. How did it all come about? But you had all the music first.
We
maybe.
did, yeah. So we,
Which is a really weird way of writing songs.
yeah, it wasn't fun.
Very backwards. Saying that, we did have some melodies in like my notes on my phone and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And as we were subconsciously, I had, I know what I'll do there. But like ultimately, it was like most of the instrumentation was done in 3 weeks.
It was, yeah. So we went out to LA, and we'd not really done any kind of pre-production or demos for this album. We wanted to go in and write and record at the same time, which was quite a lot of pressure, but also quite creative, because we wanted like a cohesive record, and I think this was kind of like the best way of trying to achieve that, of just doing it in one sitting. So we went out to LA, we worked with Zach Jones and KJ Strock, who are as big a nerds as we are, and we did everything analog. We had like a whole load of amps, a whole load of cab like IRs. We had
all like proper synths, like from 80s, 90s Russian.
Is
like,
that part of the
synths.
reason why you chose to go there? You
Absolutely,
were like,
yeah.
You have to buy it, you know what I mean? We just use their shit.
well,
use their shit.
and you get the hands-on element too. Talk about that
Absolutely, yeah.
analog element. I mean, Swallow This it started us off with that synth riff, right?
Yeah, which was so that synth riff was on a Jupiter, and then I think we had that kind of all the drum stuff behind that was all like on modular drum machines and stuff like that. So it was a really fun and different way, rather than just like opening up Splice and throwing on a bunch of.
It was all very tangible and real world, and you could feel it with your fingertips. And I think in a world where like we can hear samples across multiple bands from the same like Splice sample, and so we were like, let's not do that this time. Let's make everything from scratch, and let's really just like make our own fucking shit, man. Like let's not just take from digital or take from record it on a Kemper and use another fucking patch that everyone else is using. So we just made our own tones and everything.
Exactly, and I think you get that character and uniqueness or whatever when you start using analog gear and you let these kind of like intricacies and almost like the
mistakes
bleed through. Exactly.
Any happy accidents that happen in the while you're
exactly,
playing about with the
it's
synths.
committed.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, it's quite difficult now because obviously we play live with the neurals, and so we're trying to capture all of that in a neural. Oh, they've got a really cool thing where you can capture like the wavelength of the amp and stuff. It's really cool how it does that. It kind of freaks me out actually. How you've got this digital equipment interacting with this analog equipment and the way it captures it. It freaks me out. But I mean, we're trying our best to replicate the sounds we made on the record.
Well, then you can mix that with the digital as well. One's not better than the other, but it's actually the mix that's inspiring. You went to the studio and you finished some of it at home, I believe. You guys kind of
we brought it all back to Salford in the end, as it always ends up. In your spare bedroom opposite an Aldi. You know what I mean? It's like it always comes home in the end, and I think that's the wealth of Hot Milk, is that we don't just do it out there and it stays like it's a very Americanized thing. We bring it home, don't we?
Yeah, always. And like that was kind of where we started tackling vocals and melodies and stuff like that. And it was, I mean, the idea of it was like, we're going to go to the studio, I can leave it at home, we can go on tour, and like, because I produced everything up until then, and then I ended up like...
You ended up producing it anyway.
Like co-producing, but it was just time restraints. Like there was no way that we were going to do 14 songs in 3 weeks, like to the best of our ability. So, we had an open conversation with like Zach and KJ, and we'd be sending stuff back and forth and be like, try this, try that. So
they were like, that's sick. So we were like, oh my God. Okay. next one. But yeah, like writing a lot, like on the toilet and in the shower, and like, I've got this idea, quick. It's very quick album, really quick album to make.
iPhone
and this
was
album
our friend.
is Corporation Pop.
It is.
Corporation Pop, yeah.
P.O.P, Payment of Pain. But this kind of has a twinnage here. That's your fan club over there, singing the silence for you here in Brighton Seafront. So Payment of Pain, but Corporation Pop is has a family link for you with your granddad.
It does.
And then you've linked it thematically to the album. So.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a trifecta of meanings there, I suppose. You can take what you want from it, but it's a nod to my granddad, calling it like the water from the tap. Go and have some Corporation Pop from the tap. And the idea is that as pain at the minute is the commodification of it is running through all of us. It's running through all our homes, as does water. And it's kind of this kind of nod as well, Corporation Pop wise, to maybe the wider music industry of it all being kind of quite similar, and obviously it being an analog album and it kind of all from made from our fingertips. I thought it was a nice oxymoron, a bit of a juxtaposition, and I think we actually had the title first before we actually had anything at all, didn't we?
Yeah. Basically,
we stuck with it, and I don't think our label were very happy about us calling it Corporation Pop, but fuck it, if it's going to piss them off, that means we've done the right thing.
I think so. I think it means you're doing something different, something people wouldn't expect. So I've heard you say a little bit of that before. What I haven't heard you guys talk about is your voices. You both sing, and you both have some energetic vocals, even to the point of kind of screaming.
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys, how did you first discover that you could do that? Was there any kind of breakthrough moments with your voice? Because you really go hell for leather.
Yeah, it was blowing my voice out. That's how so I was in like a kind of post-hardcore, emo band when I was like 16 or whatever. And I'd be going to venues and I'd just be blasting my voice, and I'd fucking lose it every night. And it used to frustrate me so much that... I don't know, because I stopped singing. I quit being in bands until I met you, and then I think it was just, I've never I've done maybe 2 lessons in my life, and they weren't that helpful. I know you said about the intervals before. I'm not a theory guy. I don't really understand it. I'm all by ear.
He's one of those annoying people that can just do everything though. Like if he
when you're producing and singing and playing and
got
writing,
that magic gift. It's crazy. Like he won't say it himself, but he works in a way that I'm like, I don't know how you do that. Like it's
and
crazy.
when people do that, they tend to be able to connect an interval like the distance between two notes into emotion.
Yeah.
And then you can reuse that when you want to tap into that emotion, right?
But I think that's a big thing about like singing style. It's all basically kind of being in tune with your own body. So like I learned that, you know, people will be like, oh, do you warm up or anything? I'm like, not really. I warm up by like breathing. So like I don't really do any scales or anything like that, but it's more like core and diaphragm exercise, and like you don't really warm up that much.
I've never warmed up in my life.
But again, like the first time I heard you sing, I was like, what the fuck?
I'm very loud. Yeah, I don't know. This is the thing. I just think I thought to myself when I was 16, I can sing, and just decided that I could.
But you've got a sick tone. You've got such a good fucking tone.
I had like loads of bands growing up in my teen years and like through my early 20s and stuff, and I just did it, and everyone was like kind of came sometimes to it. I don't know. You just decide, don't you? You just decide I'm doing that, and then it happens.
I think that's it. It's not technical ability. It's just emotion. It's just channeling, just feeling your body and just kind of let it out.
And you're not the only people that I've heard as front people singing in a band describe themselves as introverts as well. How do you kind of reconcile that with having this high energy, high gigs, jumping into the crowd and singing at the top of your voice?
I would say I'm an extroverted introvert. I think I overcompensate an awful lot with overconfidence in order to combat the introvert within, to the point where I've actually persuaded myself I am now an extrovert.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think you're.
I'm an introvert.
I don't know. You're like.
I don't like speaking. I don't like speaking to people in public.
Yeah. I don't mind. I don't the sets.
Yeah, I don't mind singing, but if I have to like speak, I don't know, I just kind of
I'm quite dramatic, and I like the addressing of the people, you know. I'm like, I see it as like a theatrical act. That's where I kind of like that bit. I love being on stage, being like, you know, having the control and the power, because it's like then it just disappears and I'm tiny again.
I think that's why it works though, because I kind of like being behind the scenes and like, you know, fixing stuff. And
I think you guys are more than the sum of your parts when you come together, both in the writing, in the studio, and in the performances. I've seen you guys a few times now. I saw you guys in Berlin, you know. That would be a year and a half ago, something like that, yeah?
No way.
A fantastic gig. That was a sweaty one as well.
Yeah.
But that's why I'm doing this on my YouTube channel. Yours are the kind of gigs that I'm seeing anyway. We met at 2000 Trees last year, these smaller shows. These are the gigs I'm seeing, and I want to support you. You guys have the album out June 27th, I have written down.
We do, yes.
I've got it written on.
Good research.
It must be right. Your press release said that anyway. Yeah. Is there anything else other than that you want to promote other than Corporation P.O.P?
No, we'll keep it nice and easy. Just pre-order it so that it
Pre-order
doesn't
it
completely
really helps.
fucking flop.
No,
and then come see it live. Come watch me sweat as I try and play these riffs.
Absolutely,
Definitely
man.
the hardest songs we've ever written. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to figuring more of them out when I get home tomorrow. But like, what was he doing? What was he doing?
What was he doing?
I don't know.
Thank you so much for chatting with me.
Thanks for having us, mate.
I'm looking forward to the gig tonight.
Nice one.
Hot Milk, check him out.